6.2. How does a company determine which competencies are truly core competencies?
Several studies have focused on identifying the various competencies that predict success, both in organizational life in general and in specific jobs or job families. My firm, Grote Consulting Corporation, has identified 30 specific competencies, based both on formal research. Several of the research studies are described in my book, The Complete Guide to Performance Appraisal, and on 30 years of experience in helping organizations develop effective performance management systems. There are many lists of competencies. Each list contains dozens of traits/skills/attributes. As competency stat can be picked over to identify the small number that are critically important. Whatever the source and number of competencies, the use of a competency process as part of an organization's performance appraisal process begins with the organization's choosing a small number of critical competencies out of dozens that are available. So the first step in the process is making up a big list of all of the potential competencies, then narrowing that big list down to the critical few. Hot tip: who decides which competencies will be selected? The top brass does. Senior managers are charged with developing the organization's strategic plan and assuring its successful completion. Therefore, they're the ones who must make the decision about which competencies are the most important to achieve that strategy. Tell me more. Here's a step-by-step process for developing core competencies that will work in almost any organization. 1. Get a list of competencies. Make one up, by a list, take one from various published competency lists. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that it be reasonably complete, containing all of the various traits, attributes, or skills that people in your organization might consider to be important. 2. Make sure it's complete. Show the initial list around. Ask people if there's anything obvious that's missing. Add everybody's ideas to the list regardless of quality. The weak sisters will be filtered out later. 3. Write master-level descriptions. For each competency you've identified, write a description of what a master performer would do in this area. Here's a key point: you are not writing competency definitions. You're not trying to define what the term means. Instead, what you are writing is a description of what somebody who's really terrific in this area is likely to do that ordinary folks don't do. Think about someone who genuinely is a model of interpersonal skills, or is the acknowledged expert on negotiations, or is terrific at customer service. What is it that she does that other people, ordinary mortals, don't do? 4. Eliminate overlaps. It's important to make sure that the statements used to describe the performance of a master apply only to one specific competency. For example, consider the phrase, "easy to get along with." Does that describe the competency of interpersonal skills, or communication skills, or customer service, or people management ability? Take your choice, but choose only one. Never have the same description of master-level performance show up in two different competencies. It's important that the descriptions be sufficiently unique that no one can say, "Well, that's just the same thing in different words." 5. Sort the list. Once the complete list of competencies, along with the descriptions of master-level performance for each of them, has been created, it's time to assemble the top management group. Their task is to sort through the competencies and narrow the big list into the small number of competencies that are the most important. One fairly easy way to do this is to put all of the competency statements on index cards and give a set of cards to each person involved in deciding which ones are critical. The instructions are simple: sort the deck of cards into 3 equal piles: must, should, and nice, or high, medium, and low. Note that the instruction calls for 3 equal piles. That's important. It's also very difficult. If there are 30 different competency statements under consideration, the first time a manager sorts the list he is likely to end up with 20 in the must pile, 8 in the should pile, and 2 in the nice, or low pile. That won't work. The discipline involved in sorting the competencies into 3 equal piles is what makes the process work. If everything's a must, then nothing's a must. Managers will wiggle and whine to avoid the hard job of saying that developing talent, for example, is more important than decision-making, but less important than planning and organizing. They'll point out that job requirements vary and that different people have various levels of skills. All of this is true, and all of it is irrelevant. The objective is to identify the small number of genuinely important attributes, skills, traits, or proficiencies that give the organization a competitive advantage. Tough-minded decision-making is required,